Hello and welcome to this edition of City Hall Insider. I'm Jim Marshall of the New Bedford Cable Network, and in studio today is Manuel DeBrito. He is the chair of the Election Commission, and I was trying to think of what day it was here because we just had the election recently. It's the first full week in October. But primary has come and gone. We are now on to the general election season where we got a 4-week sprint until the November election. It is going to be a busy time for you.
Yes, it doesn't.
It doesn't end.
Not much time in between, so.
No, 4 weeks to get things done. I know that we're, getting the candidates in for their candidate statements and stuff. But you're right. It's a quick sprint right now till the finish line. There was one primary. The city at-large councilors, two candidates were eliminated. Now there is 10 candidates going on to the general election. It's kind of hard to assess, but how would you assess how the primary go from your standpoint?
It went well. I think one of the things that we saw, the turnout was 5.7%.
Right.
5.77. Things have kind of changed, and I think we got to look at turnout a little bit differently. 2022, they changed the state law saying that everyone that's 18, a citizen, and has a residence in a particular area is automatically registered. It's mandatory. So as those numbers go up, registration numbers go up, obviously turnout is going to go down. You're registering people, but that doesn't necessarily translate to votes. So I think we got to start looking at the total turnout, who's actually turning out to vote and not a percentage, if that makes any sense.
Operationally for you, I know you had a new polling place at the
Holy Name.
Mm-hmm. But how did things go operationally for you? I know that you guys were under the gun, not you, but election people were under the gun for the federal election. Mm-hmm. So how do you think it went operationally this time?
There's always going to be little fires and stuff like that. Ballots are going to jam, but how do we deal with that, right? It's almost like having a copier in an office. It's going to jam, you clear it. Machine's not down. It's just, one of these things. And, there's standards in place and procedures on, how you handle those things. And I think our poll workers do a really, really good job. We do a mandatory training every year. We go over what, they need to do, how you handle stuff like that. Supplies run low. There's always something, but we have plenty of people, to support that and try to, triage things so we can get an answer and get things, in place right away. So I think we've done a good job in setting up a lot of that, how we handle certain issues.
How about early voting?
Well, we did mail-in. We didn't do the early voting. Early voting is something that I request through the council,
yep,
and they vote on it. And in a local election, when you don't think the turnout's going to be as high, does it make sense to have in-person early voting? We do have the mail-in voting and absentee, which is a state law. We have to offer it unless we opt out of it. Not something that I don't think our election office would ever do is opt out. A lot of people are getting comfortable with it. They like it. It's very secure. We like it. So that's that option as well. And people can come into the office and still vote absentee up until the election. So we just don't have an early voting site, which is set up as a poll.
Right, yeah, I know. And with the mail-in votes, talk a little bit too, because I think everybody always questions safety. As a big thing. There's a lot of steps and precautions that take place before the elections take place. The machines are looked at.
Every year, we test the ballots, everything. They get serviced every year, the machines. We go through them. And as far as mail-in, I actually tell people it's probably more secure than even going to vote in the location. Because, you request an application for a mail-in. You send the mail-in application back. We're putting that into the voter system. When we mail you a ballot, put into the voter system that we mailed you a ballot, the date, everything. When we get it back, we put it back into the system again. We received your ballot. We're not counting the ballots and who you voted for, but the fact that you've actually sent it back to us, cross the names off the voter list, they get processed again, Then after the election, you get scanned in again that, yes, indeed, you did vote and we did get your ballot. So there's 5 or 6 steps there for one mail-in ballot.
Devil's advocates will say that it's not the same person that's voting that requested it, or they're getting multiple ballots, or...
So you have to sign for it. We have your signature. We have your signatures on file as well, so we compare the signatures. I think a lot of that is misinformation, to be honest. The only thing we can't control is the post office, obviously. But we have, like I said, people can come in and drop off their mail-in ballot. We have the white city mailbox.
The mailbox in the front, yeah.
You could drop off your ballots there, and I tell people I actually prefer for you to do that, because now we've actually got it back. If you've requested one and you haven't received it yet, you can track it. You can call the office as well. Hey, we mailed it on this date. If you haven't got it, how do we remedy that? And again, each ballot goes to a specific voter ID. So no one can get your ballot and vote and, do all of these things. Again, we have your signature, we have all of that to confirm. So it is, I think Massachusetts does a good job with that process.
And just my observations as a regular voter, I think we've talked about this in the past, as a regular voter, when you go to the polls, for the most part, the poll workers are at the same precincts all the time, so they know who you are.
Yes.
So it'd be pretty hard, at least in my case, for somebody to put, James Marshall, to say you live at 3 Clinton Place and put the vote in when they know who I am.
Yeah, and I mean...
You got police at every precinct, too.
Police are every precinct. The poll workers know, again, they look forward to it. They know the community. Most of them live in that community where they work as poll workers, so they know the people that are in the community. And I was joking about it the other day and, kind of making light at, people say people that aren't registered and fraud and stuff. And I'm like, still only 5.7% showed up. So where are these people that supposedly are, stuffing the ballot box? It's just, not to say it doesn't occur, but it's such a small percentage, nationwide even.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just looking at it, and someone that researches and looks at this stuff every day, I just don't see it as being a major issue.
What about, talk a little bit about deadlines and what have you right now that we're looking at. People who want to register for the general election.
Yep.
Candidates are all set, I think. Everything now, well, you haven't got the ballot yet.
No, so we have to finalize today. People have until 5 p.m. today to request the recount. I don't think we're in a position for anyone to request that, but I can't say that with certainty. So I can't even submit the ballot. I'm in the process of formatting it and getting it ready, so when we have the go-ahead, we can do so. But the ballots are made by a company that's in Nebraska. So I submit it, and it's not only the ballots, it's also the flash drives that go into the voter machines that count and tabulate the votes. So, there is a big process behind that too. Hopefully we can turn it around and they can get them to us as soon as possible, because then we mail them out to whoever's requested. So,
have people already requested it? Because
Yes.
they have already requested for the general.
yes, so I mean, every year you do have to apply, because every election is different.
Right.
So I know during a state election, they'll mail every registered voter application, vote by mail application. We wouldn't do that as a city. The cost is tremendous now with postage. But people can select all elections for the year. People that are absentee, that have a medical condition, that can't go out and vote, they automatically get a ballot mailed to them. My staff is on it. We've been processing for months now.
Can you still request, as we're talking now, I think it's 4 weeks, the election from next Tuesday.
Yes.
Can you request still to get a mail-in ballot for the general election?
So I believe, off the top of my head, I believe it's 7 days prior you could request a mail-in, because by the time you request that, we process it, we actually mail you the ballot. You have to get the ballot, vote, and get it back to us. You wouldn't be able to do that in time. So the cutoff is, I believe it's the Tuesday before election that you can request by mail. You could still come in and vote absentee. You could still all do that. To actually register to vote, that's 10 days prior is the cutoff for the final, so people could still register to vote. There's still time to do that. But yeah, there are all these deadlines and dates, and we have that all listed on the election calendar for the year ahead of time.
And that's important too, because as you said, 5.7% voted. So if people want to participate, and usually the general election is more participation in that than the primary, which has been going on since time began.
And everywhere.
Correct. But you can still register to get that ballot.
Exactly. And there's no mayor's race. People vote for races and candidates and ballot questions. And, as we've seen with no, mayor's race on, the turnout's going to be lower. So, it's one of those things. It's, one of the years that, the mayor isn't on the ballot. There is going to be, one at-large candidate that's, stepping down, that's not running for re-election. So technically that's an open seat. I mean, I guess they're all open seats, but one is guaranteed. So, hopefully that'll draw up some, attention.
There's going to be, 3 contested races right now for ward councilors. And then you've got the 10 candidates for the at-large. You still have a school committee race where there's open seats on that. That 4 candidates are looking to fill. I believe 3 spots.
3 spots.
And then I know assessor has unopposed. I don't know what else is on the ballot. I think that's it.
Ward 3 is unopposed. Ward 4 is unopposed, and
Ward 6 is unopposed.
I believe Ward 6, yes.
Yeah. But there's nothing else on the ballot.
Nothing else on the
races,
ballot.
Right?
No, no questions. There's nothing.
Just on the side for this, so when you always hear about ballot questions, and I know the state, you've got to get signatures and stuff. Can there be ballot questions just in the community, and when do those have to be in?
They can, but there's so many ways that you can have a ballot question. So it could be something proposed by a citizen. That would be different requirements as far, to have a question.
But would they? I guess ultimately, would they be on the city ballot, or would you have to put them on the state ballot?
So.
The federal.
Yeah, so we can't ask the state to put anything on the ballot during a state election. That would just be municipal. They're in charge of all the ballots across the state, so they're not going to do that. A couple years ago, we had a dual election when we had the MBTA question, as well as the state election that day. So that caused, a lot more ballots to be processed. But, depending on who's presenting the question, there's just a different, requirement for each. Is it the council proposing something? Is it a binding question, non-binding question? Is it coming from the mayor? Is it coming from, citizens that had gathered signatures? So each way is different. So, I mean, without knowing exactly what we're doing, that's a solicitor's office question, because we want to make sure everything's done right and legally according to state law. So a lot goes into that behind the scenes. As far as I know, there's nothing. People always ask how they do it, how they go about it, and it's just a long process.
Right, depending on, my thought was that if it's specifically a municipal issue, chances are it's going to be on the municipal ballot.
Definitely.
So your office handles that.
Yes. Yep. So, I mean, and again, like, what we do is we process and we administer the election. So we would be told what was going on the ballot, how the question would be phrased. That's not something that I would determine. That would be, myself with the solicitor's office, Secretary of State. How do we format it? How is it supposed to look on the ballot? Because again, we want to make sure we do things the right way.
People don't realize how many elections there are. I mean, every year there's something being voted on at some point in time.
Yes, every year there's an election, and people say, "Oh, do you work 2 days out of the year?" And it's like, no, this is
yes, you do.
Full-time, 24/7, from budgeting to prepping and getting ready for the next election. We started getting in petition papers today, where we go through. People are getting signatures for different ballot questions for the state
already.
We're already getting those, and my staff goes through those, and you're talking about thousands of signatures that we have to confirm.
So if there's a state ballot question like you're talking about, you've got to, and again, it's a state issue. Your office has to sign off on the
New Bedford voters
on the New Bedford voters, and then you have to send that to Boston,
to the Secretary of State, and then they're the final determination on whether they count a signature or not. But my staff's been there forever, hello, Sherry, Debbie, Emmanuel. So they go through those signatures, and the fact that they can read some of these signatures and make them out, they're signature experts by now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we go through every single New Bedford voter. Any petition that is signed, if they get the signatures and it's specifically for New Bedford, we go through that, send it to Secretary of State, and that gets added to the ballot questions there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking with Manny DeBrito, the chair of the Election Commission here. The city primaries come and gone, and we are getting ready for the general election. We gave the dates 7 days prior to the election. You can request a mail-in ballot or what have you. You can register 7 days prior.
10 days.
10 days prior. So there's a lot of still things of action that can take place right now. Do you see a lot of people traditionally prior to an election coming in to register to vote?
Not as much now because, again, it's automatic. Any state agency, you're getting automatically registered. I actually like people coming in or doing like the, when people have like registration, like fairs or whatever, because you're having the conversation, why it's important to vote, why not. Now you're getting registered, but you're not getting that conversation. So you're missing that little piece of it.
Well, you wonder if people actually know that they've registered.
Well, the fact that it's mandatory. So I get the angry calls.
Yeah.
Why did you register me? And we don't. It's the registry, like I said, Social Security, DTA, like you're automatically registered. So now, since the law changed, people would have to reach out and say, hey, take me off the voter list. And then even that, there needs to be a paper trail, date of birth, address, everything has to come with it for us to take people off. So you're going to see, and it's everywhere, inflated numbers as far as registered voters. It's just part of, like I said, since 2022, you'll see those jumps in numbers.
And you've had, your folks really have to go over the voter lists. I don't know how often, but it's multiple times.
Every day, we're scrubbing the list, from moves to deaths to, registration that have now come in. Yeah, it's every day.
And that's no small task because, although it's always amazing when you see the amount of registered voters. I thought I saw it was like 70,000?
73,000.
73,000 for the primary. I thought it was 70. I didn't know that. And then you've got the small amount doing that. And I wonder how many people actually know that they're registered voters out of the 70,000.
I mean, they do get a notice from us, and people will call and question. And a lot of times people are already, registered, but what the state has been doing is they're trying to limit duplicates. So now you'd go from your middle initial to your full middle name. So people will call and say, hey, I'm already registered. And it could just be that little switch. Or we used to only get the last four of the social. Now they're taking the whole license number. Because again, if I'm Manny DeBrito, born whatever date in New Bedford, and there's also a Manny DeBrito in Salem, same date, same middle initial, there could be some confusion there. So they're just trying to add more so they can differentiate between voters. So, you will get notified. Everyone gets notified. If there's a polling location change, you are notified by us. We mail it out to everyone that's affected. It's something we try to, keep in touch with the voters and let them know what's going on.
As you said, we moved from Hayden McFadden because of the construction that's going on right now to Holy Name. I'm curious as to, just in general, how do you go about finding polling places?
So there's laws and requirements for polling locations. You'll see that we're in schools because they're ADA compliant. So accessibility is the big thing there. It has to be handicap access, certain number of parking spots. There's an amazing principal at Haymac that you may know that we talked to, and that construction is going to go on for 5 years.
5 years.
And it wasn't that the construction was taking place inside, but outside. It was going to affect parking and just being able to get from the parking lot to the school to vote would have been hard for some people. Holy Name has a great parking lot, big space. So luckily we were able to move there, but the doors have to be handicap compliant, certain width. The ramp can only be at a certain there's so many things that go into it. You have to be either in a precinct or an adjacent precinct to actually house one of them.
I was going to say, does it have to be a certain distance from something?
So it has to be, Haymack was 3A and 3C, so those are, they touch somewhere on 3E, I believe, or it's 3E, where Holy Name is. So we were able to take it from there and move. It's just not, pick a building,
Right.
here we go.
I don't think people know that, yeah.
No, there's a lot that goes into it. And then again, it has to get approved. I have to go through city council. I have to let the Secretary of State know. So it's not just an easy, fix. And then everyone gets notified 30 days prior to an election that there has been a change. So we do mail those out. I think it was over 3,000 people were affected by us moving to
Really?
Holy Name. Yes.
Wow. Is there a certain amount of people that constitute a precinct?
So precinct is by total population and not voter. So every precinct, when we do like the re-precincting and redistricting, you have to be within a certain percentage, like plus or minus 5% of the next one, but it's not registered voter. It's
population.
Everyone, it's population. Right. So everyone deserves representation. So that's what it's based on, not the voter number at all.
Because I know that, I voted for a long time at St. James, St. John or St. Teresa's now in the gymnasium, and that moved a couple of years ago.
We got a notice like a month before that there was construction there. My son went there, and they weren't going to be able to do the election there. So luckily we were able to find Kennedy Donovan.
Right.
That's right there with parking, with everything. But if we didn't have that, where would we move those? So luckily it was right there, same block, same.
And you got
everything.
2 precincts in there too.
Exactly. And it's a nice space, plenty of parking. At first it was a little hidden, so people had a little bit of an adjustment to make there, but it ended up working out. We're there now, and no issues at all.
And you do have a lot of polling places that have more than one precinct voting at that location.
Yes.
And that it doesn't seem to be an issue because they're in some cases, well, at least that I see, they're in separate rooms.
Yeah, and we try to just mark them off. And Holy Name was a little different because it has 3 now, but we were able to put the 2 new ones like in the gym area. Again, there was plenty of space, plenty of parking, and we try to have signs up and stuff. But it's I think we have 28 total locations, but there's 36 precincts. So a lot of them are doubled up.
Yeah, yeah. The thing too is that you've got to, the precinct workers on election day are there so much earlier. Polls open at 7, they close at 8, but they are there, some cases 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning getting set up.
They're there by 6, the moving company and the DPI workers that come in and have the actual ballots and all of that, they arrive at City Hall at 5 a.m. I'm at City Hall by 4 a.m. Just to make sure the police come in to get the keys to the machines. They hold the keys for the day. There's a lot of steps in that process. Once all the machinery and all that gets delivered and they got to set up, it takes a little bit. So, there's a lot that goes into it before the polls do actually open.
And it's funny, it's just one of those things when you look at different events and different things that go on in the city. Election day, you've got multiple departments contributing to that effort.
Yes.
Not just elections,
No,
which is obviously the driver, but there is so many city departments that have some sort of role in that.
Yes, on that day there's about 400 or so people that work for elections, from police, DPI, DFFM, my office staff. You're talking about the school department, custodians, all of these people, the poll workers.
Yeah.
I have runners on that day that, they're there to, deal with any of these issues that do pop up, running supplies and all these other things. So yeah, New Bedford is a heavy lift. I don't think people realize how much goes into an election in somewhere the size of New Bedford. During a state election, we actually have 41 precincts because of the sub-precincts that were added.
Really?
Say 3F is the precinct.
Yeah.
But 3F during a state election is cut in half. Half of 3F is in one district, the other half is in another district.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That happened with the re-precincting, redistricting 2021.
Okay.
So that was a change. So yeah, and we have so many locations, so many people involved that, it's not, we just pick up and hey, here's the election. There's a lot that goes into it. And again, I have such a great staff and people that help. They do a good job.
And it's amazing how quickly the results actually get there. I mean, it's not the days gone by where you're up till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning sitting, waiting around the counter to see who won the race. I mean, these things, because of technology, are you pretty much know what's going on by about, well, the primary was about 9:30.
Yeah, and it's not fast enough for some people, but there's a process even shutting down the polls and counting through the ballots, making sure all the numbers tie off, going through the voter list, make sure the machines shut down, putting the paperwork back to where it's supposed to go so it can come back to us, because the election's not over for us that night. We have to process after the fact and do all of that. So we have to make sure everything comes back to us. Plus, there are precincts all over the city. So, it's not as easy, and we don't get the flash drives in right away, and they start trickling in. And, like I said, the poll workers do a great job. The police are the ones that actually bring the flash drives and all that back. They do a great job getting it back to us as quickly as possible. And then I actually sit there and have to tabulate on the computer. So it does take some time, generate the reports.
As you said, these are just unofficial results until, when does an election become official?
So like what we do is, so we have the flash drives with all the results. We take those that night. What also comes with that is it looks like a receipt from the supermarket, and it has all the numbers on that. I have to make sure those numbers align. Then you also have the sheets that come back from the wardens and the clerks. They have numbers of, hey, we had this many ballots that got to tie off. So many things go into it. Then, we got to scan the voter activity, which we talked about, the fact that, not who you voted for, but the fact that you actually voted.
Right.
So we could track that. So, and then today, for instance, today I still have to wait till 5 in case someone asks for a recount. So it's not really wrapped up until today after 5 p.m. And every election is different. State election, you have a certain number of days afterwards.
Because you got mail-ins at that point.
We got mail-ins that come from international, so we still have to, as long as they're postmarked on election day, we can receive them, a couple of days, past the election. So yeah, every election is different. But yeah, it doesn't end just on that day.
All right. Got a minute left. I want you to give just a quick tutorial, I guess, of what people need to know over the next 4 weeks about, go over the dates again and what people need to know.
Yeah, so there's still time to apply. You have to apply every year. So if you haven't applied yet, you're not automatically going to get a ballot. Make sure you reach out to us or you submit a vote by mail application. Ballots aren't finalized, so we don't have them yet. But as soon as we have them, there'll be a press release. People can come in, vote absentee, and at that time we'll also be mailing out the ballots. Once we receive them, once they're tested to make sure they actually work in the machines, we'll mail those out. If you have any questions, call the election office. The election itself is November 4th. Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. You'll see the construction signs that we put out, reverse 911 call. So information is out there, is available. Cable Access does a good job interviewing, candidates. People always ask me who the candidates are. They want to know more about them. I can't provide that information, but you guys do a great job of having the candidates in. And that's basically it. Any questions, we're always there. 508-979-1420.
And if you want to register to vote,
you can do that
10 days before the election.
10 days, and you can do that online or come into the office or call us, and we'll mail you, an application so you can do so.
That's that.
That's that.
Good seeing you again.
You too. Thanks for having me.
That's going to do it for this edition of City Hall Insider. I'm Jim Marshall, the New Bedford Cable Network. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.
I don't think that many kids in my son's school even do it.
No way.
No way.
No way.
No way, my kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud. Talk to your kid about vaping. Visit talkaboutvaping.org.